I'm Shefali Agarwal, Ehsaas Woman of Kolkata, and we are delighted to have you with us for this special edition of an author's afternoon. The Prabhakatan Foundation's cherished literary gathering right here in Calcutta, the city of culture. Our guest for this evening is author Saptarshi Mallick. We're all excited to hear from him, but before that, let me take a moment to share a few words about Prabhakatan Foundation. The Prabhakatan Foundation is dedicated to promoting literature, education, the performing arts, culture, gender equality, and women's empowerment through a diverse range of initiatives spanning author interaction, book launches, literary festivals, panel discussion, intimate cultural gatherings, and captivating performances in music, dance, and theatre. The foundation celebrates and nurtures creative expressions. Each thoughtfully curated event offers meaningful platform for authors and artists to engage with discerning audiences, inspiring dialogue, encouraging fresh ideas, and deepening cultural connections. Now, it's my utmost pleasure to introduce our guest author, Saptarshi Mallick. Dr. Saptarshi Mallick is an assistant professor at the Department of American Studies, University of Graz. He was a Charles Wallace India Trust Fellow and an UK IERI Fellow in the UK. He was an Ernst Mach Fellow at the Karl Franz University Graz and visiting fellow at the Bodleian University of Oxford. His publications are Connecting Spaces, The Travelogues and Letters of Lady Abala Bose, and Finding Philosophers in Global Fiction, Redefining the Philosopher and Multicultural Contexts. He is an associate editor of Gitanjali and Beyond, open access e-journal of the Scottish Centre of Tagore Studies, Edinburgh, and a research affiliate at the Scottish Centre of Tagore Studies, Edinburgh. In conversation today with author is Dr. Kaberi Chatterjee. Dr. Kaberi Chatterjee is an academic, poet, heritage enthusiast, and a beginner in billiards. She is currently Associate Professor in the Department of English and Scottish Church College, Calcutta, and has previously served as a guest lecturer in the Department of English at the University of Calcutta. She has presented papers at leading forums in India and abroad, including NEMLA USA, the American Literature Association, Glasgow University, the University of Warsaw, and Visvabharati University. Dr. Chatterjee has published widely in journals and edited volumes, and for over 2 decades has served as chief editor of the Scottish Church College magazine. We're truly honored to have the both of you with us today to share your thoughts and insight. Without taking much of your time, I'll give the floor to both of them.
And my grateful thanks to Prabha Khaitan Foundation, Anindita, and the Ehsaas Kolkata for this invitation. And I'm very privileged to be in conversation with Saptarshi, who's been like a kind of young brother at the Department of English, Calcutta University. Other than that, I have used his Oyster card to travel around London when I went. So that was the first thing he helped me with when I was going, and he had just come back and he said, use my Oyster card, that kind. So it was great fun. It's been a great journey with Saptarshi, and I'm so intrigued by his topic, Abula Bush. So, because the first thing that struck me was who named her. I have never seen a more Shabula woman than her. Such a kind of empowered personality. So that is one of the first things that struck me. And, her today is the 22nd of August. She was born on the 8th of August. So I don't know whether that was intentional, but this is a kind of tribute to Lady Abula Bush on her birth month, let's say. So, Saptarshi, did you connect the dot? Yes, you did. Thank you. So, the first thing that I'll ask him is the fact that so many people are so famous. and women of the 19th century also, you know. But Obola Bosch, I think, has been denied her place in history because she did so much. What drew your attention to Lady Obola Bosch?
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prabha Foundation. Good afternoon to Anindita Di. Good afternoon, and thank you, Anindita Di, for all the correspondence. Thanks to Kathy, who's not here today, and thanks for this introduction and humble. Thank you so much, Prabha Foundation. And I've been in touch with Mr. Gutoria, and so thanks to him too. So how did all began? And as Mrs. Esha Banerjee had asked me, how did it all began? So, after my PhD, which was from the University of Calcutta, which was on Baptist missionaries, I was in search of something because I have an immense fascination in archives. Bongo Sahitya Parishad, Asiatic Society, Gotham's Library in St. Xavier's, the -1 floor of National Library, and that smell is something which gives me the power to live. And also, at recent times, the Angus Library and Archive at Regent's Park College, University of Oxford, where I have like free access, and thanks to the authorities there. So, before I actually answer this question specifically, everything begins with one person who really connects us, is Professor Bashavi Fraser, CBE, who is the director of the Scottish Centre of Tagore Studies. And with her, I visited Acharya Bhavan. It was just a maiden visit, and I happened to explore the museum, and I found a file where some written documents were present. Little did I know that those were the travelogues which are present in this book. I asked Paruldi, Professor Parul Chakraborty, who is the director of Acharya Bhavan, and Professor Fraser told me, your postdoc is there. And I started further investigation, and I found that of the 13 travelogues written by Lady Obola Bosch, 12 were published in Mukul, and one was published in Probashi. And then there were the epistolary correspondence with Rabindranath, because there was references in that manuscript. And we also worked towards digitizing that manuscript and preserving it at Acharya Bhavan. And while I was exploring Acharya Bhavan's archival documents and Rabindra Bhavan, Vishwabharati, I came in touch with Professor Tapati Gupta, late Professor Tapati Gupta, and who is actually the source of me doing this research in Austria, because it was she who connected me with Professor Stefan Brandt, who is my mentor at my postdoc at Karl Franz Universität Graz. And thanks to the fellowship which was provided by the Austrian government and Ministry of Education and Culture, and that's it. And I went about because the university department focuses on transnational travel writing, and I was focusing on Lady Obola Bosch's travel writing, because Lady Obola Bosch was more known to all of us for Nari Shiksha Samiti and women's education. So here is a woman writing about her travel experiences in India as well as abroad. And that is how I explored and started this project. And the funny thing is that by the time I was in the midway of this project, I got a job as an assistant professor at Shukanta Mahavidyalaya in Dhupguri, in Jalpaiguri, University of North Bengal. Here I must name and thank the man who is very dear to me, is Dr. Nilanshu Shekhar Das, who is the principal of Shukanta Mahavidyalaya. Sorry, he's very dear because, I joined the job and he gave me the permission to go and complete it, which is very rare in this government, in the colleges, because the GB doesn't approve, because I left the college with a leave without pay within 3 months. So it was approved and he did that, and I believe this book is exclusively because of that initiative. And little did I know that I was scheduled to go and submit my work and return. So I need to be there in Austria for 3 months. But COVID happened. And then my parents were always worried, when would I return? And but I personally felt that I had I would also mention in my report that that I had returned with a fragment of Austria in my heart, because during that time I not only got myself associated with the academic life of the university online, but also many other cultural experiences, which was limited because of COVID restrictions. But it was really an enrichment which happened for me. And that lockdown was like, what did you do in the lockdown? If someone asked me, this was the thing which I was doing in lockdown. So that is how I ended up in Austria and with this project. And then with the immense support of all these people and Professor Fraser, Dr. Das, and Professor Stefan Brandt, and the book has seen the clear light of the day. And in this context, I must also thank my two very important research assistants. One of them is there, who is just getting ready for doing his PhD in Japan, is Mr. Shornab Chaudhary, and surely Ms. Debopriti Sengupta, who is already in Japan doing her PhD. So they are like my support system back in Bengal, because if I need something in the archives, they run for me and get them. So thank you so much, Chaudhary and Sengupta. And so that is how it is. And it's a great pleasure today that that Kaberi ma'am is hosting me and in this conversation, because I'm very comfortable because we have seen her since long time back in the university, and it's really indeed a pleasure. So thanks to Kaberi ma'am, and thanks to PK Foundation once again for facilitating this afternoon.
Thank you, Saptarshi. Now, you've spoken about Abula Bosch, and you've been talking about your, people around you. And I find this, this concept of travel, somebody's in Japan, somebody's in, in Scotland, Edinburgh. And so there is this kind of travel, knowing new cultures, coming in contact with various kinds of people. That is so very sort of, I would say, central to your experiences. So I come back to Abula Bosch, and she was, let's say from 1880s onwards. In fact, I would just share with the audience a little bit of her life story. Abula Bosch wanted to do medicine, but she was not allowed because Calcutta Medical College was not enrolling women when she wanted to take admission. This is very important because we know of Kadambini Ganguly, who was just 3-4 years junior to her, and she got an opportunity to study. So, these two lives I take as kind of simultaneous, empowered, enriched women. And my grateful thanks, because they walked that extra mile we are running today. And I think she deserves a round of applause, for doing what a privilege, especially the women who we are. And whenever I sit on a chair, I always feel indebted to the mothers and sisters who have walked before me. So what I wanted to ask you was the situation, the socio-cultural, the historical, situation, because this is colonial Bengal that we are talking of. And in colonial Bengal, how did she manage, to break through these glass ceilings that she was breaking, studying, and then comes the marriage, J.C. Bose, and the J.C. Bose circle. So could you talk about that?
Yes. So first thing is that because I'll begin with this marriage thing. I'll read one sentence from the letter which she's writing to Rabindranath, and I quote: "That day I wondered what good deed I had done as a woman to deserve such a position. India, in her current poverty, has felicitated a great son," that is J.C. Bose, "and I would like to know what righteous deed on my part has made me become his wife." So, she was extremely devoted to her husband, and along with that, she was also inspired by Sister Nivedita and Rabindranath, and her memoirs according to me, are very simple, but they have a strong sense of pragmatism, cultural enrichment, and they actually locate her sympathy and humanism in the context of the larger search for liberation. And what Abula Bose really does through her travelogues is that the travelogues become contact zones, enabling people to know the history, the culture, the not in terms of separateness, but in terms of co-presence, interaction, interlocking understandings and practices. And this creates a synthesis of the cultures essential for the development of a critical cosmopolitan perspective of a traveler. And I've also observed from her descriptions that she actually has an anti-autoethnographic point of view because she's observing people, their lifestyle, educational development, their discipline, and food habits, and documents them without engaging with the colonizer's term. And she's praising the good qualities of the English as well as critiquing their Orientalist denigration. And this is as a result of imperialism in colonial India. And in doing so, she's actually criticizing also the economic plunder which was undertaken by the British in imperial in India. And also points out the importance of a free nation state in the world. And in doing that, she's interrogating the anti-conquest point of view of the imperial seeing man, which Louis Braque has established theoretically, to emerge as a feeling individual. This is something which I have explored Abula Bose following Rabindranath's idea. And this feeling individual actually embraces diversity along with its cultural and psychological paradigms in order to appreciate the confrontation with otherness in a way that facilitates an individual to see what is in common as well as what distinguishes us from each other. Once again, echoing Anthony Appier's habits of coexistence.
Field, in the sense, the letters, when I read, Abula Bose writing to Tagore, she says, dear, and then she signs it off as, in some letters, she calls herself Bo Thakurani. And in some letters, she says Abula Bose. So, can we conjecture that when she writes Abula Bose, there is a tiff going on and she's not very happy with Tagore and she's expressing her, in Bengali we have this term, Obhiman, So I have not yet found a coexistent term that really in English tells you what Obhiman is. So if anybody can translate, and you're a great translator, you can tell me. So is there anything that we can conjecture, assume, or was it her way? And the other point that we were discussing that day when you were pointing it out, that she writes Sri to everybody. There is no Srimati. But she spells it differently in her letters. Mm-hmm. For men, she uses SRI, and for women, she uses SHREE.
Yes.
And we really don't know why. I have asked him, is it a short form of Srimati? But there is no full stop. So the full stop would have made it a short form, definitely. Is there something that we can conjecture or assume? Obviously, we can't reach it. Anything you would like to conjecture, because you've dealt so much with her letters, they must be speaking to you.
Yes, actually, that's really nice. Yes, in fact, the travelogues in India and the world, they speak about cultural, it's like documentation, history, engagement, and there is, with decoloniality being the call of the day, there are certain gaps which in the course of our discussion we might explore. But in terms of the letters, it's something very interesting, because this is a very important point which ma'am pointed out, is that First of all, respected sir and respected Bou Thakurani. So this is there. Again, respected poet. Now, why this change? That's very well pointed. Now, I'll give you some points where you will see that that the letters have both light-hearted conversation as well as something very serious philosophical discourse. And why that is happening, I will tell you. So, in one of the letters, Rabindranath is actually asking Bou Thakurani, and this is their meeting place primarily during summer was at the Darjeeling campus of Bose Institute. So I connected a lot of people out there, and thanks to again my principal, Professor Nilanshu Shekhar Das, who wrote to some authorities in Darjeeling so that I could enter into the Bose campus, Bose Institute Darjeeling campus, and see that window which is mentioned in this particular letter. আমি বাংলায় বলছি, আমি জানলার দিকে তাকিয়ে প্রবাসীর কাজ করব, আর বৈজ্ঞানিক তার বিজ্ঞান চর্চা করবে, আর তুমি আমাদের জন্য কি করবে? কই মাছের ঝোল, সজনের ডাঁটার তরকারি, কুমড়ো ফুল ভাজা, and boiled লাউ ডগা. I have not translated these vegetables, names of vegetables. I've kept it with annotations. And এগুলো খেয়ে আমরা চাঙ্গা হয়ে থাকবো, and this is only possible with your love and care. This is something, again, very much, intimate, personal. Another letter which kind of follows that particular letter. This is very important because you will understand. I had again, Rabindranath writing to Abula Bose. I had a Bou Thakuron, and during my boyhood days, I yearned for her affection. You can understand who she is. After losing her, I grew up very quickly and I became wary of earning deference and veneration. But I did not expect such cruelty from you. এই ক্রুয়েলটি, এইটা হচ্ছে খুনসুটি করা যেটা বলে, ওই জিনিসটা। এরপরেই একটা জিনিস আসবে, ইট উইল বি মাচ বেটার ইফ ইউ ক্যান সাকসেসফুলি ডিসকন্টিনিউ অ্যাড্রেসিং মি অ্যাজ আপনি and try addressing me as tumi. If you feel this is not possible, then please do not publish such intimidating expressions like reverend in letters. প্রত্যেকটা জায়গায় ওইভাবে অ্যাড্রেস করছো. Rather, you can address me as dear poet when you write to me. So you can understand there's a kind of a wonderful exchange and intimate relationship which Lady Bose had with Rabindranath. But while this is the correspondence which is taking place, there is another. They're also talking about Lady Bose's reporting about J.C. Bose's accolades across the world to Rabindranath through the letters. And in that course, she is also emphasizing the importance of Indian science. And that's very important. And I will come to a conversation in that a little bit later. And she's also discussing the importance of Brahmo Samaj and the ideals of Brahmo Samaj and the necessary steps to be undertaken for establishing the Brahmo Samaj in London. But there is one letter. There's another letter which you will enjoy. Is that this is a letter to Rabindranath by Abula Bose, and here she is addressing my dear poet, my dear poet. So I'm also reading a few sentences you can understand. We are very much distressed to see your photograph in the songbook. Like when I was translating this, I remember all the lipstick tainted photographs and postcards we have Tagore. And I just remember, the lips are red and he's having a very different look. Why do you have a look? Why do you have to look so much under strain? If I were in the country, she's writing from the United States of America. If I were in the country, I would have never allowed you to permit publication of this photograph. As there is no one to stop this, you have permitted the publication of the photograph. After returning home, I will make you promise me that you will never hand over any of your photographs to anyone without showing them to me. I am certain that you will profess old age, but it would not be fair for you to do so before me. My husband is older than you, but I will never allow him to be referred to as old. So she's kind of a bit like the Bo Thakurani. She's kind of having a very affectionate relationship. But this next letter, which is written on 13th April 1910, may I refer to this? This is a very philosophical discourse on part of Rabindranath. And I took 3 months to translate this 1.5-page letter. It's very difficult because the context is Rabindranath is not at Shantiniketan, and Lady Abula Bose comes and takes away Aurobindo Bose. Aurobindo Bose is the nephew of the Bose couple, and they loved him as their own son, and because they were childless. And here is Rabindranath's response that why did Lady Bose take him away? Now, giving you a footnote is that Aurobindo was enamored by the ashramic ambience of Shantiniketan, and the Bose couple feared that Aurobindo might become a saint or a monk and leave family life and go away. So here I'm just reading one particular paragraph a bit slowly, so you can understand. And it actually follows that discourse that if something comes from within, then you should allow the heart to enrich and cherish it without obstructing the spontaneity which is from inside. And I'm reading this for you. There are many things that are like a rented car. We use it as long as we need it. The association with it is lost as soon as the need is over. When we receive something that is essential for our humanity, then a deep relationship is established for life. In this world, when we form associations with people or institutions, they protect us overtly or covertly, liberate us from selfishness, and steer us towards a greater self-realization. Unfortunately, very few people experience such an opportunity. In this world, there are very few places where we are able to allow our mind to explore in depth the spirit of life that guarantees our well-being. Most of us lack the strength to establish a true and enduring relationship. If these words are appropriate, then please do not be worried about the bond that has been formed between the Bolpur school and Aurobindo. Rather, be happy for him. I'm stating this not because there lies a singular competence within the Bolpur school. This school cannot impart anything special to anybody, but any person who can decipher its ideals through devotion is capable of retaining its spirit and will find it befitting for all occasions. The foremost necessity is to awaken that devotion. 3/4 of the people float lightly through their life in this world, and therein lies the danger. A man's life is prosperous if one can realize the truth about life and about this world. Whether or not Aurobindo has acquired anything from the Bolpur school, his innate wisdom means that he has steadily realized life in all its truthfulness. This realization is so great that wherever we experience it from, a respect for life is established. There is no getting away from this fact. If you have observed that such a magnitude of reverence has not been awakened within Aurobindo, then you should understand that his mind has certainly not encountered anything as liberating as this experience at Shantiniketan. It is for this reason I am taking this opportunity to tell you not to worry about Aurobindo. And he continues, I'll just read 2 more sentences. However, it is true that sometimes due to several reasons we experience moho. Its fetters are all too powerful. We must acknowledge that it can never be good for our boys when sometimes After visiting England, they auction off their mind and life to that place. So, and this continues, and later on he points out how Aurobindo's activities in Shantiniketan makes Rabindranath feel that he is one of the very few students who was moving towards realizing Ananda. And but after this particular letter, that is Choitro 1317, after this particular letter, the letters just become information between both of them. Oh, I need this Tota Kahinir manuscript. Can you please kindly send it to me? We need the manuscript. We need your permission for staging Topoti. So this is just this. It's no more kind of that friendship or friendly discussions until J.C. Bose's death. Again, which Rabindranath and Abula Bose reconnect. And so during this, and this particular letter is really something very interesting where, and the funny thing is that Abula Bose, as in response to this letter, doesn't kind of discuss anything, all the philosophical points which Rabindranath had mentioned in that letter. She is silent with the discourse or the thoughts or the self-realization which is being provided in that letter. But I can understand the gulf was bridged by Sister Nivedita. And again, Aurobindo returns because at least the Vishwabharati documents prove that Aurobindo is continuing the education, and Rabindranath and Aurobindo head to Illinois for studying agriculture.
So we find, thanks so much, this is so much of socio-cultural history, and but again, like I said, I'm going to take the personal out of the political, and the way they connect over philosophy, politics, and then they disconnect over her, let's say, son's, kind of future in the school, leaves me a little worried about Abula Bose, the feminist. I'm trying to fit in all these various aspects in her character as the feminist, as the educator, as then as the mother. All these various facets of her character are not very harmoniously coming in, and they're all in their own places. As a mother, she's upset with Tagore because Tagore is sort of taking over her son, she feels. At least that's the way I look at it. Would you agree with that? That this was a kind of breach that nothing could paper over?
Yes, because initially Sister Nivedita was not very happy with the entire Shantiniketan plan. And during that time, Nivedita is a frequent visitor to Acharya Bhavan. So I feel maybe this discussion was also a spark in this particular action on her.
So here we find the trio, Sister Nivedita, Abula Bose, and Tagore.
Yes. But later on, she realizes the mission and the vision of Rabindranath. And she visits Shantiniketan and agrees, and also requests Tagore to write an introduction to the Well of Life.
So I read in one of your excerpts over there that Abula Bose is saying that women should be educated, not because they will make good mothers or good wives, but because they have a mind, and that mind needs to be fulfilled. So this is something, Mary Wollstonecraft was saying. And but we don't pay the same kind of attention to Abula Bose, the feminist,
Yes.
So I'm so glad that you brought it up. So any other place where she sets up so many schools, right? She sets up a lot of schools, apart from the Nari Shikha Shomiti, the committee that she sets up. So are the schools, flourishing? Is there anything like Begum Rokaya's school is flourishing, something that was set up and is flourishing? Can we say some of the schools that she set up? Is there any history that you can sort of shed any light on?
Yes, Vidyasagor Bani Bhavan. And it's flourishing, and I went there and I had a word with the principal was there, and they read every semester, then it's like when I was doing this work, like before in 2019, early 2019, and like they have a kind of a course which is the school planned course to make the students of the particular school know and discuss about this, not only Lady Obola Bose but also the of Rabindranath and J.C. Bose. It's like it's like the course which I did, and even Mr. Rick Borni Pradhan is also there. We did the spiritual heritage of India in Ramakrishna Mission Vidya Mandir at Belur Math, and today I'm so very proud of doing that, because when you stand in front of a German speaking audience and you quote Sanskrit slokas fluently and you carry the pride of Belur Math on your forehead, I believe that I did a very good good decision, along with my parents' support, to study English honors at Belur Math. So I believe that school is flourishing even today, and even today, because there's a lot of pressure because of the syllabus, but they do have a course for all the students. It's a compulsory course to know about the founder, to know about the activities of the founder, and also realize the importance she leaves behind towards women's education. But the funny thing was that they were not aware that she was writing travelogues.
So the two facets did not sort of come together. Travelogues, now that you talk about travelogues, 19th century is not the best time to look for Indian women traveling abroad. The instances of Indian women traveling abroad are very, very rare and few, and writing their experiences. So can you tell us, I mean, were there other people like her, I mean, who were traveling, women who were traveling and writing? How much of travel writing do you get from this colonial period?
So thank you. Like you really dived me into my archival experience, because this was also something which my mother asked, because, oh, why are you studying and finding out so many things? But when I told to see what I found, is all unknown, published, unknown archival documents, and I could give the full credit of preserving these documents to Rabindra Bhavan. And to begin with, Kadumbini Ganguly and Jamini Sen, who had the first lady doctors from Calcutta, who he did for England for further studies. Then we have, I'm giving you the list. Okay, I hope you will not bore you. And then we have the autobiography of an Indian princess by Shoniti Devi. There is Sharna Kumari Devi's Prayag Jatra, Journey to Allahabad in 1886. Somudre on the Sea, 1895. Prashannamoyi Devi's Arjabhatto in 1888. Priyambada Devi's Varanasi, 1900. Shoilabala Das's Bilat Prabhash, Journey to England, 1906. Jagat Mohini Chaudhury's England Shatmash, 7 months in England, 1902. Tapati Mukherjee's Bilater Diary, The Diary of Western Travels, 1930. Horiprabha Takeda's Bangamohilar Japan Jatra, A Bengali Lady's Trip to Japan, which is 1915. Sharatrenu Devi's Sharatrenu Roy's Paroshe Bongo Romani, A Bengali Lady in Persia in 1916. Lady Bose's Travelogues, Tapati Sharkar's Londoner Kotha, London Stories, 1929. Bilater Diary, The Diary of Western Travels, 1929 again. Renuka Ray's Bilater Proshango on the West in 1930. Shukumani Rai Chaudhury's Geneva Jatri Bongonarir Potro, a Geneva-bound Bengali woman's letters, 1930 to 1931. Himanshu Bala Bhaduri's Bahirer Poth, The Road Beyond, 1931 to 1933. Sharola Devi Chaudhurani's Burma Jatra, Trip to Burma, 1931-32. Durgapati Ghosh's Poschim Jatrik, The Westward Traveller, 1936. And Chitrita Devi's Onik Sagar Periye, Crossing Many Seas, which was actually published in 1957.
Fantastic. I mean, this is remarkable.
This was not planned. When I was accessing the archival documents in Rabindra Bhavan, I found them and I noted them down. And
I think this is one of the things we are discovering, because I was not aware of the fact that between 1870 to 1950 is a period that's so fecund with the writings of women on travel. Because travel was something the men did. And the other kind of travel writing that I was used to was white women who came, with their colonial husbands. They wrote a lot of this, reaching India and the kind of, spices and gems and all that. But our women stepping out and, writing about this is remarkable. This is a great find. Thank you, Saptarshi. And I'm now very eager to read those books. I want to read those travelogues because I thought we were, traveling to Glasgow and feeling thrilled, But they've all done it 100 years, 200 years before. And that's great, absolutely.
Yes, and like most of them are most of them are having a separate individualistic voice when they're narrating their descriptions, and I feel that there's a wealth of detail in these documents, and I mean this with these documents actually it rebuts the increasing tendency of men in the travelogues exoticizing the unknown. And here is here are the women who are actually emphasizing the detail, emphasizing things which often, like as I mentioned, the seeing man, because most of them are like feeling individuals. They're getting themselves culturally associated with the history, the local food, the local people. Because if you actually get the opportunity to read Japaner Kotha, Japan Jatri, you will see how much intricately she's describing birthday celebrations, the homes, the windows. I mean, these are very small things which we can just ignore. But I had the opportunity to notice a house in the countryside in Austria, and this was because of Dr. Margaret France. But actually, I should share this information. She had actually walked on Austrian women who came to Sabarmati and served under Gandhi's supervision, and her habilitation was on this, and her partner's mother is actually the founder of Doon School, and she was murdered during on Women's Day, and her partner is actually a classmate of Rajiv Gandhi. So it was fascinating to know how much Austria was already there in India, and all these people, they were writing travelogues in German, and recently, through a student of mine, I have found 10 elderly German Austrian people who had traveled by motorbike and bicycle from Austria to India. And I asked my student, I forgot to share this in our conversation. I asked my student that if I could take their interview and they were very happy to share their memoirs, because they have some both pleasant and unpleasant experiences of traveling almost in the major part of India. So that is also something interesting. But they were like 8 men and 2 women, and the other person is no more there. So I believe this entire women's writing is actually contributing to the development of the new writing, which I explore, because they have an inclusive post-coloniality. And that's also something which we discussed, that in some places Abolabos is very much subscribing to the colonial ideas. On the other hand, if we get an opportunity to read that, she is also very critical. And I think this complexity is there in most of the people who are who are there in the 19th century Bengal. I mean, of late I have experienced that of William Carey, and who is my research person. So yes, so that is it.
You started with Japan, So Japan is very close to Obula Bush's heart. And her visit to Japan. So, what does she say about Japan? I recall she says something about the women of Japan and the fact that Parda was a kind of problem in India then, and Parda was not a problem in Japan. So, could you just elaborate on that? What does she say about Japan? Her visit to Japan.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yes, exactly. Because there, if a male member visits, or if a man is visiting the house and the man is a friend of the husband, and then the woman, out of her own choice, will decide whether she will meet and greet that particular man. So it's her own choice. It's not by the society. And similarly, if she wants, she can go out on the Mahal and greet him and maybe talk with him, have tea or anything like that. But it's she who decides. So that's something very important, which she actually discusses in that, and also mentions the comparative, the Porta system in the Indian custom. And but there it is a choice of the woman whether she would like to talk with the man who has come to meet her husband.
So she was, visiting Japan where she finds this, and then she also goes to the USA, which is a very liberal kind of country compared to, the Eastern world that she had come from. So what was her reaction, response, or interaction with the United States?
It's that was very nice because I have always thought this, and I felt like some of my own ideas were there already when I read this. That is, what happens is that the effect of extreme liberalism, the negative effects, especially in the school-going children, that she points out, and she points out that people need to have parental guidance so that they don't get diverted. Parallelly, she's also emphasizing the discipline. That is, like I am so very happy that I know to cook various kinds of dishes. I wash the dishes, I wash my clothes, I do it by oneself. But in general, but beyond this room, in general, আমার ছেলে রান্না করবে, this is not accepted. Now, that is something, but you will always see that recently, I know I'm just giving you a little bit of masala. Recently, now, I was a great fan of the K serials, the Kahani Ghar Ghar Ki, Kyunki Saas Ki Kabhi Bahu Thi, and Kasauti Zindagi. So when in MA class we had one kind of presentation, we went about to find out evidences to interrogate the patriarchal constructs. 25 years later, when Tulsi comes back, Mili is telling him, mind you, I saw that. You are my biggest investment. And I just closed the television. And so 25 years, the same thought process continues. So what she actually mentions in this particular essay, that the story of American boys and girls, first of all, this I have also experienced. That is, every Sunday they go for walks along the river, which I see in Austria. They go to the parks. They are very interested in going to museums. And on Sundays, how many of Bengali students or children do these? We better sleep and enjoy and all those things. So this is something which I really saw, and they're like I have a close circle of Bengali friends. I'm very selective about my friends in there, and I've seen how their children are being reared in the education system. So this is there, and this is what she's mentioning in America. Then there the discipline of living in a house where you all work together, be it preparing food, be it washing, cleaning, and so this is something which I actually really loved in this particular essay. And she points out that in our country, this particular spirit should be imbibed among children, and they should learn this from the very childhood, so that in the long run, both of them support the family, and it's not just a burden on the wife. So this is something which, even if it's an age of decoloniality, but this is something which she emphasizes, and that in India, education should be patterned in such a way that the boys and girls share the responsibilities equally, and it's not a burden on the women. And yeah, so that is something which I really loved in this particular essay, that is the story of American boys and girls.
So actually we can go on reading, because every letter I found was so interesting. Every letter, so I can see Anindita looking at me, and before she sort of brings the kind of curtains down, I will ask two very uncomfortable questions. Okay.
You can do that.
One, we maybe one only. We've been talking about Omola Bush and as a post-colonial Now she was, she visited in one of her peregrinations. We find that she visited Lucknow, and Lucknow was post 1857. So that historical location, the position. So does she talk about it? Does she refer to it? Is the empire writing back in her or no?
Yeah, I was also I was waiting for this question. This is something very interesting, so it's visit to Lucknow, and along with that, I'll also refer to another, that is Bongo Mohila Prithivi Bhraman, a woman's sojourn around the world. In Lucknow, what happens? She is talking about the English who died, the memo in Lawrence, then Outram. He's referring to them. There is no mention of the Indians who died in the First War of Independence. So that's a little bit objectionable. There is no documentation. She doesn't even drop a sentence regarding that. But it's like, but she mentions that she returns with a heavy heart from Lucknow. It's because of the English people who died there. There's a bombing hole out there. This is there. Parallelly, may I read?
Yes.
Parallelly, this is a very important travelogue, Bongo Mohila Prithivi Bhraman. Okay, and it's and here is a particular experience which she is sharing in this particular travelogue. It's like, and I love the Bengali which she had writing, Bengali language, is that she overhears হোয়াইট ডিসকাসিং ভারতীয়রা কি বিদ্যা চর্চা করতে পারে, বিজ্ঞান চর্চা করতে পারে, and so I'm reading that particular section where you will see how some whites had a very derogatory perspective towards India, while there were people who had a larger heart and were ready to acknowledge the traditional Indian knowledge system. So I'm just reading that particular section quickly on Indidadi. So over an invitation at an eminent chemical scientist, Dr. Gladstone's home, I overheard while sitting with the dining community, an invited gentleman, one who has been sent to India as an expert by the Indian High Commissioner, speaking to his friend sitting beside him. Who is this Chandra Bose, the man who is much in conversation among people? Can Indians ever pursue scientific discovery? Impossible. They can undertake experiments using a small test tube, but are unable to perform the same if replaced with larger one. The Indians are efficient in imitating, but they fail with the first-hand application of their intelligence and reason. The person sitting beside to whom he was speaking is Ramsay, the famous chemical scientist, and he retorted, "Please stop. You are totally ignorant. For centuries, the Indians, with their devotion, have been able to enhance their thought processes, thereby augmenting their wisdom. We need to labor hard in order to be at par with them. We are fortunate that till date, they have not been undertaking experiments by themselves, lest Britain's supremacy will disappear. On the other hand, this man Chandra Bose has attained the realms of success by providence, and we need not be threatened by his proficiency." So, you can see this particular kind of attitude difference among people. And so she was maintaining a kind of a balanced perspective and following, once again, like following the ideology of taking the good of the East and the good of the West towards a more constructive participation and kind of a multinational world of interwoven interests.
Right. And the second very complex and a slightly avoidable question would be, she was the wife of J.C. Bose, and she was famous as wife of J.C. Bose. And J.C. Bose also thought she was wife of J.C. Bose. Did J.C. Bose ever feel she was Obula Bose?
Well, I didn't find I have so much of support from Ravindranath and Sister Nivedita to Abula Bush's endeavors, writings, and but there is a silence from J.C. Bose's part. But both of them traveled together, and I think even if he was silent, he didn't obstruct her from writing. And and as you remember, I read that she was feeling herself blessed to be his wife. So she was an efficient person, not only at home but also at the world. So she was able to balance both of her departments. Well, I shouldn't kind of compartmentalize in that way, but yes, there is a silence, and I don't have any documentary evidence, be it letters and or any other, even in Obacto. But yes, you are very much pertinent in presenting that question.
And
Yes.
that would, in a kind of tangent, take me to Darukanath Ganguly,
Yes.
Kadambini Ganguly's husband, who was so on board with Kadambini Ganguly's career, her development. So, and Darukanath Ganguly was somehow also connected to Abula Bush.
Yes.
And
He was Abula Bush's teacher, because they were all students in Darukanath Ganguly's school.
so when I see, because J.C. Bose and Darukanath Ganguly would be compatriots.
Yes, and they were
So
also all for the
all
Brahmo
in a
Samaj.
kind, Brahmo Samaj. So that is where I have a kind of oblique question mark against J.C. Bose. I'm not taking away from his great production, his very, very great talent and his contribution to the world of science, but being from the feminist perspective, he could have been a little bit more a bit more appreciative of the things she did, other than make the very good Shukto Dot Bonto and the Lauish
Koi Machhe Chhol.
Koi Machhe Chhol. I mean, other than that, she did something. You could have written a letter.
Yeah.
And, that's of course, by the way, aside, and maybe I'm just being critical.
No, into this I'll just add, and maybe we can also wind up this, that the paragraph which is there in on Lady Bose by Patrick Geddes, and there Patrick Geddes mentions that how much efficient she is as a wife as well as an individual. And there, I'm like, this is quoted in this particular book, and it's the biography of J.C. Bose, in the life and work of Sir J.C. Bose. And another thing is that I have been also kind of, before I submitted the manuscript, I just about to approve the the print ready version. I came in touch with I got two books which were published of J.C. Bose. I asked them to wait because I need to kind of refer what was there. And in those very illuminaous books on J.C. Bose, Abula Bose was just a paragraph. And that was something which really kind of was not very kind of acceptable for me. Rather, in Margot by Reva Shaw, we have a lot of information technical information regarding Sister Nivedita and Abula Bose correspondence, and how she was also associated with Sarah Chapman Thornton Bull, who helped the patents of J.C. Bose. So yes, you are right. Right.
So I think it's very interesting. I think everybody must be eager to read the book. Anindita, the floor is all yours.
That's a very good information. Recently, I was reading Krishna Bhamini Devi's travel. That was not there in your list, perhaps, or missed, but I mean, very interesting, right?
Krishna Bhamini Das is another person who was traveling.
Yeah.
It's there.
Is there? Okay, I have missed. But that was only one that I have read, travelogue. I think that in translated by Navnita Sengupta. So that is interesting. But I have one question. You mentioned there are 19 travelogues by Abula Bose? Or 17?
No, there are 13 travelers.
13. So, but you have been reading from letters. So is it in the form of letters, or is it like Rabindranath has like Europrobashi Patros? Is this something like that, or is it a travelogue?
No, I mean the 13 travelogues are full-fledged travelogues. but the letters can also be considered as travelogues because there's a lot of
Apart from the
descriptions.
13.
Yes. That's why I wanted to kind of have the letters in this particular compilation. I mean, in this book, because that was my argument. Because it's not just what is happening with J.C. Bose or the accolades or the praise he's receiving because of his scientific discoveries, but it's also but it's also Lady Bose's experiences of where they are staying, maybe the food, the place, the climate. So it's also, I mean, I get all those theoretical points of a woman's travel writing or a travel writing present in all those letters. So
Okay.
that's it.
And just another question. I mean, these 13 travelers must be over a long period. And do you see a change in the voice of the writer during this period, the maturity, the experiences, and knowing the world, how it is reflected?
No, really, no. There is no change as such. It was like she was inclusive in the very first travelogue on Kashmir, and she was also very much positive, hopeful, and inclusive in the last travelogue, that is Bongo Mohila Videsh Bhraman. She maintained the same standard of thought process and experience and outlook. And which I believe, for me, it was like a larger search for liberation, quoting Edward Said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
While you were reading her letters, did something come to your mind that I wish she writes about this, maybe in the next or the next or the next? Was there anything which you felt there was a sentiment, some emotion which was wrapped up and you were just wanting it as a found kind of a documentation? Because I'm sure when she was writing all this, there was a lot of psychic, there's so much more which was going in, and a lot of things she did not want to write, but probably she wanted the reader to understand. So did you get any insight into any of that emotion?
Yes, absolutely. Like she was the voice for her husband's accolades. Like if there are 2 paragraphs on J.C. Bose's accolades and achievements, there's just 1 or 2 sentences regarding her own self. She and Meera Devi, this is like my current engagement, and were very close. She just writes, "How is Meeru?" That's it. But in Sriti Katham by Meera Devi is having considerable portions about J.C. Bose and Lady Bose visiting Shilaiga home. They are all having turtle eggs, and then Baba and Boikanik having a swim together. So there's a lot of things. And even Rajlokhi Devi, who is Meera Devi's grandmother, was also very close to Abula Bose. So, like, how is Mrinalini? That's it. Okay, but she had quite an intimate relationship with these women. Her own query regarding these women or her relationships or friendships with Meera are not mentioned in the letters. And after that letter of
So what does this indicate? If she's not mentioning, is it?
Again, like she's so much enamored to be the devoted wife of the
Or maybe
the
she's
scientist.
lacking that attention.
Maybe yeah, it can be because it's she's more excited with being with J.C. Bose's achievements, and she's very happy that how J.C. Bose is actually bringing fame to India and India's scientific knowledge. Maybe
I'm so keen to read the book because I'm sure I might find something.
yes,
Where she
absolutely.
needs to say something else than
Absolutely.
what is to tell.
Absolutely,
May
because
I just interject?
Yes, please.
I have this feeling when you spoke about it. I feel she's keeping the 2 worlds apart. When she's talking about J.C. Bose and all that, that's, speaking about achievements, science, the Andor and the Bahir.
Yes,
This is
yes.
the Bahir world.
So the under
she
did something like that come.
and
That's
then-
what I'm very interested
And
to
her
know.
sorority, the sisterhood that she has with this, that's a different world altogether. That's her own world. So maybe she's keeping it apart.
Yeah.
Mine is complete conjecture, no research.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, I could be way out of line.
I mean,
It's absolutely fine. I mean, I accept your. I'm
But
absolutely
why
very
would she
happy.
do that? My
Yeah.
question is, when she's writing such travelogues and she's writing personal letters, it's a lot of things she's writing which is close to her heart. Why not this?
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
women at that time, they were primarily writing to a male audience.
Yeah.
They thought men are going to read. And when men read, if you write too much of emotional, how so and so,
So how do we train our men then? They need to be trained then.
That is
They need to be trained.
absolutely. I'm on your page.
Yes.
Please let us bring up our boys.
Yes, I'm
We
trying my
cannot, we
best.
cannot do anything with the society unless we bring up the boys. So I always feel start at home and bring up the boys, and then society will take care of
Here
it.
I will tell you two. I'll share two things. One is related to this, and one is a personal thing. That is in the Mukul magazine, you had 25 men writing, 25 contributions. There were just 2 women writing. So that is also something. And second, the personal thing is that I should be very, very happy with my mother because she has trained me to do everything. যেটা যেটা সাধারণত কেউ বলে মানে অদ্ভুত ভাবে you can understand that derogatory language, এটা তো মেয়েদের করার কথা. Okay, and well, I have always broken the stereotypes in everything, and that's why I have this in my hand, and because this was like with the intense interest of my niece, when I went to Durg in Chhattisgarh. So yes, we need to train our boys, and I think like now I have been teaching at Sanskrita College University, at Sri Shikshayitan College, at St. Xavier's College, in St. Xavier's Collegiate School, at St. Xavier's College in Bardhaman, and in Vishwabharati and Shukanta Mahavidyalaya in North Bengal, and now I go to University of Graz. I've seen how the ideology of training these boys and girls is different, but having said that, I will tell you, the Western people are also patriarchal.
Yes.
They are very much stereotyped. And that is very evident when I go to church on Sunday and then I see the certain things which I have a very close friend, Christoph and Hannah. Christoph is a mathematician, Hannah is a biologist. And so certain things Hannah is not expected to do. And it's so much, like Hannah is so confident to accept those limitations. And Christoph is so happy to impose that. So it's like, okay, so that's very interesting. Just one example. I've seen this. So it's not that they're enlightened and they have everything good and it's all here. No, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I think it should be, this change should come from the heart, and you just have to rise up to feel that everyone is equal.
In fact, I think many ways they're worse.
Actually, I was just going to bring it up,
Yeah.
We've just gone through the Wimbledon matches, right?
Yeah.
It is only now that there's equal pay parity. But till a couple of years ago, the women's championship, which has that round thing, they don't have a cup. Because the cup only belongs to the man.
Yes.
So I have always I have a question to the Wimbledon authorities. Why is there this, plate for the women? Is it because they
serve?
And in this context, also tell that I have there are 2 members in my family. One is like my brother's wife, who is an advocate, and one is my friend's wife, who is also a software engineer. And I've seen how they have functioned in the family as not just the wife, but as an equal partner. So that's I think the change is around the corner, and I also believe that we need to encourage this more. So Snigdha and Sanhita are also some very important models, not only in this aspect, also psychologically they're also very supportive to me. And so I think it's really to have such powerful women around. And needless to say, the source of inspiration for me is surely my mother and Professor Vashubi Fraser, and because I think if these 2 women were not around, things would have been different. I mean, so I'm also very grateful to them for all whatever I am.
Vashubi is also my mentor. My visit to Edinburgh and my reading into Scottish history all happens under her umbrella of, Scotland. and everything. So, yes, we all sort of owe a lot to her.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mallick, for a fascinating session. I'm Esha Dutta, Honorary Convenor, Northeast Affairs and the Ehsaas Woman of Kolkata. And on behalf of Prabha Khaitan Foundation and Taj Bengal, I'd like to express my sincerest gratitude to our guest, Saptarshi Mallick, and conversationalist Kaberi Chatterjee for taking us through this very interesting discussion. I would also like to thank our associate, Taj Bengal, and our patron, Shree Cements Limited. And of course, to you, our wonderful audience, your presence makes this evening truly special. Now, as most of you are aware, the Foundation encourages cross-state cultural appreciation to foster unity and promote our cultural heritage across India's diverse states. So today, we are pleased to felicitate the author with a token giveaway made in our beautiful Dokra. Dokra is a non-ferrous metal molded by artisans to make artifacts, accessories, utensils, jewelry, etc. Derived from the name of the Dokra Damar tribe of West Bengal, this ancient bell metal craft is practiced widely in our state. Could I now request Mrs. Esha Banerjee to come and felicitate both our guests?